By the end of this video, you'll have the exact system I use to package YouTube videos with Claude. And this is the exact same system I use for one of my clients who generate over 44 book sales calls and $67,000 in revenue from YouTube all in 90 days. Now, I've spent the past 6 years in this industry shooting content for Ferrari, FIFA, Jake Paul, and some of the biggest YouTube channels in the world. Now, the thing is, packaging is roughly 65% of why a video grows. Not the editing, not even the content, it's the title and the thumbnail, which means this is the single highest leverage skill that you can use for your own YouTube content to start attracting not only more people and more views on your videos, but more buyers. And right now, almost nobody is doing this correctly because Claude only got access to live YouTube data recently. Everyone else asking AI for titles is, in a lot of cases, just getting complete slop, like how to make money trading online, a complete guide for beginners in 2026. Just complete garbage. And the thing is, the gap between the people who know how to use AI properly for their content and the people who don't is getting smaller every single year. So I'm gonna show you my exact 4-step process that I use personally day to day to get consistent top performing titles and thumbnails. So in step 3, I'll show you exactly where I found it and why stealing like an artist from outside my niche is the entire reason you clicked. Every video about AI in YouTube tells you, oh, you just need better prompts. But the thing that they're missing is that nobody connects it to real life live data. And that's exactly what we fix in step 1. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to give Claude a pulse on the market. We want to make sure it's actually seeing what's going on YouTube and be able to pull real data that's actually relevant to you. So that way it's not just coming up with random BS for your titles and thumbnails. So the way we do that is by using something called VidIQ, which is a great tool for finding anything YouTube data related, but you can connect it directly to your Claude and it's great. It's super, super quick and easy to set up. So the reason why we want to enable this is it allows Claude to query a live outlier database, right? So it's able to look at every single video that's on YouTube and more importantly, find videos that are outliers. So for these screenshots, this is all within Claude and I pretty much just told it to find the outliers within the like make money online space. And so if you'll notice these numbers right here in the top left corner, these are outlier scores. So this video got an 18x outlier score, which basically what an outlier is, it's how many more views this video got compared than the baseline average that a channel would get. So this video got 18 times more views than the average video from this channel. And the reason why it's so important to find outliers to model your content after is because outliers really just signal that there's a supply gap within the market. So YouTube is a market, and instead of the currency being dollars or money, the currency is watch time. Now, how do you get watch time in the very first place? It's getting people to actually click on your video in the first place. Now, since YouTube is a market, it follows the same exact principles than any other market. So what a supply gap means is pretty much just that supply and demand has not yet reached equilibrium, which simply put just means that an outlier signals that there's lots of demand for a specific format, but not enough supply. So instead of just sitting in your room thinking, okay, what would be the perfect video to make? What would be the best possible idea? Instead of asking all that, you just look at real data and see what people actually want to watch. So integrating VidIQ into Claude really just removes all the headaches of like having to screenshot or like copy and paste links into Claude and be like, okay, take all this data and now I want you to find outliers from all this. It just saves you all the headaches and gets you real life data so you don't have to constantly be doing all of that back and forth with YouTube and Claude. So that's really the foundation of this entire system, which takes us to step number 2, which is research. Now, for a second, I want you to forget literally everything about AI, forget all of the prompts, any of that stuff. Fundamentally, with any system, with anything in life, if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. And that's especially true with something like Claude or any other AI at all, right? So the only way Claude can actually give you really good outputs and amazing outputs even is if you give it amazing inputs, if you give it great data to work with. Like the simplest way to illustrate this is something like a diet, right? If you're constantly eating shit food, you're going to feel like shit and you're probably gonna look like shit too. So that's why it's so important that we integrate a tool like VidIQ so that we're able to get the best possible inputs that we can get. So when it comes to the nitty-gritty of the research, there's a few parameters that you want to set. And the first one being, you want to tell Claude to filter its results to channels within 15,000 to 300,000 subscribers, ideally all within the last 4 months. and at the very most within the past year. So the reason why you want to do that is because it allows you to filter out channels that are really reliant on brand. So someone like Alex Hormozy, for example, he can kind of get away with posting titles and thumbnails that aren't like super optimized. Don't get me wrong, like they're still amazing, and he's obviously one of the best channels in the space for business. But again, like he just has so much trust built with his audience at mass scale that he can kind of get away with more generic titles and thumbnails, and people will still watch because they know it's Hormozy, they know it's gonna be a good video and good advice. But the thing is, in a lot of cases, that's not gonna translate entirely to you and to your channel and to where you're at with your personal brand. So I like to keep it within this range. You can experiment with this, but this tends to give you the best results in terms of formats that are actually going to perform well for your channel. And then obviously you want to find the best breakout scores, aka outliers, and ideally I like to keep them within 4x to within 50 to 100x, 100x at the absolute most. And the reason why you don't want to go above that is anything over a 100x outlier is in a lot of cases not necessarily something that you want to model after or something that you want to take inspiration from for your own titles and thumbnails. And a great example of this would be this video. Now, no hate at all towards this guy. If you just look at it, like obviously this is an AI thumbnail, also an AI title. And for all I know, this could be a great video, but if you look at this actually got a 259 times outlier score, which on paper is great, right? It got like 10,000 views, over 259x outlier score. That's great, right? Well, if you actually do the math on that, this channel is actually doing on average 40 views per video, which really just means that either the way this video was packaged just like did something so well and is just completely ripped, but using my own judgment, I can tell that probably wasn't the case. Again, no hate at all. But what I think is more likely is this probably just got a lot of either external traffic sent from other platforms to this video, meaning it wasn't really picked up by the algorithm, but it's been propped up by external traffic, or it was like boosted, it was like paid engagement, right? I don't know exactly, but either way, like this would be an example of something that obviously you'd want to kind of like filter out, right? And so that's why I like to keep it within the 4x to ideally 50x, but you know, you can get away with 100x as well. So once you've done your research, you wanna make sure you found at least 4 or more examples of this format that you want to model after. And if you haven't, then you want to go back to the drawing board. And also ideally, these different formats, these different outliers have been proven across different channels, right? So you want to see it performing well for multiple different channels, not just one. That's just a stronger signal of something that's actually going to perform well for yourself. Now, if you have found that, then we get to the fun part, the part we've all been waiting for, and that is packaging, right? So usually I like to start with the title. And so super simple, really all you do here is you want to find a proven title that's been proven to perform well. As you can see here, this is a great example of 29x outlier score, how I build insanely beautiful websites using Claude code. Now, obviously, I'm not a web designer. I'm not in this space at all. I don't have a web design agency, but I can still see this format performed really well. So this is where the 3% rule comes into play. And really all that means is just taking this title and changing it by 3% so it makes sense for your own channel. So what I would do is I would make this title, how I make insanely good YouTube titles and thumbnails using Claude. That would be one of the 3 titles that I split test for my video. Now, real quick on just like the psychology behind the title is you wanna make sure it carries an information gap or creates some type of open loop, right? The number one thing you want to create is curiosity with your titles and thumbnails. Now, in this case, it's pretty straightforward. The entire curiosity gap and information gap is carried by one single word, and that is how. Because if I was a web designer and if I was in the web design space, I would want to know how to make beautiful websites using Claude code myself, right? And so that single word is carrying most of the curiosity gap, right? Also insanely beautiful. That was a terrible circle. We will just delete that. So once you have your title in place, we want to create a thumbnail that complements that title and creates even more curiosity and something that will really stand out within a couple hundred milliseconds of viewing. Because you gotta think, you're competing with dozens of other videos on the YouTube homepage, right? So if you want to win a click from someone, it needs to be able to pop out and really catch attention. Like you don't have time, for example, to be zooming in and reading exactly what this says. Like, no one's going to do that. Like, it just takes too much processing power from your brain, and so subconsciously your attention is just going to divert elsewhere to a title and thumbnail that's a lot easier to understand quickly. So for the thumbnail, in some cases, I will just reference the exact thumbnail that I got my title from, but there are also some instances where I think there could be a better thumbnail option given the title and given what my video is about. So in that case, I will reference something called the swipe folder, which is pretty much just a playlist of anytime like I'll see a video on YouTube that I see has gotten a good outlier score. And by the way, real quick, if you get the VidIQ extension for Chrome, you can actually see a video's outlier score when you're just scrolling through YouTube, right? So this video got a 2x outlier score, meaning this is doing pretty well for this channel. It's got like 1.6, decent, 4.7, 6.1x, etc., etc. So for example, this is a 5.1x. I think this is a great title. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and save this to a playlist. I title it Outliers. And anytime you need title or thumbnail inspiration, in a lot of cases just thumbnail inspiration, you can go ahead and just reference that playlist. Now, another thing that I love to do for getting title and thumbnail inspiration, in this case specifically just for thumbnails, is I will look at videos outside of my own niche and I'll see what's performing really well there, because there will be a lot of cases where there are certain formats and certain thumbnail formats that have performed really, really well for people making videos outside of your niche that haven't been done yet within your own niche. So an example of this is if you're in the fitness niche, instead of just looking for what the other top finance creators are doing in your space or finding outliers within the finance niche, you could go ahead and look at the fitness niche. While obviously there are completely different niches, human psychology is fundamentally the same no matter what niche you're targeting, right? So you can still find some amazing layouts and formats that still haven't been used in your niche yet. And again, obviously you want to confirm that the layout already performs. And if so, you have two options here and a secret third option, which I like the most. And that is either A, just go ahead and send those references to your thumbnail editor and they'll go ahead and make it themselves. Or you can make it yourself using AI completely, not completely, but for pretty much free. And so what you can do is you can take the thumbnails that you want to use for your own video, just upload them to Claude and tell it to make a image generation prompt using those images to recreate it using something like Nano Pro, and it'll output an image generation prompt, which you can go ahead and upload to Higgsfield, along with any reference photos, plus a photo of your face, obviously, and you can create your thumbnails that way. Now, ideally, I like to do both of these, right? I like to create the reference thumbnail first using AI, and then I'll send that to my thumbnail editor so he knows exactly what to create. And in a lot of cases, it'll turn out way better than anything AI could create. And the reason being is while AI image generation is great, there's still a pretty big gap in taste. At the end of the day, a thumbnail editor does have taste, right? They know how to make something look good that can't just be described within a prompt, right? So an example of this is I made this thumbnail using Higgsfield and Nano Pro, which, to be fair, it is decent, right? It's pretty solid, but it's also just kind of like, you know? It's all right. So I wasn't completely happy with this, so I went ahead and sent this to my thumbnail editor, and this is what he was able to make with it. Which, if we just compare the two, I mean, I know it's somewhat subjective, but like, I think this is clearly a much better thumbnail than this one right here. So for the time being, I still think thumbnail editors do have an edge on AI because again, they have that component of taste. They know how to do certain things that are actually gonna make it just look way, way, way better than anything AI could ever create. So that's the entire system. Integrate VidIQ into Claude so you get real life data. You lift the titles from proven outliers, you never just make them up from thin air. And the thumbnails are built from a swipe file on a completely separate track from the title. And every judgment call, which numbers to trust, which channels count, which formats will work, that all stays with you. And if you run this process yourself on your next 4 videos, your packaging is going to be 90% sharper than the rest of your niche. And I have zero doubt about that. But here's what I can't give you in one video. You'll find a 260x outlier score and feel like you just struck gold, when in reality, it's a dead channel with a 40 view baseline average. You'll end up lifting a title that gets 100,000 views, but they're all people that are never actually going to buy from you. Now, this process itself is very quick. It can only take you like 30 minutes, but actually reading the data is what took me years to perfect. Now you can gain those reps yourself. The cost isn't just in hours, it's in the next 4 videos you publish while you're learning which signals to actually trust, which could end up being months of your channel training the algorithm to bring in the wrong audience, an audience of people who never even intended to buy in the first place. Or I just do it for you. If you want to apply to work with me one-on-one, first link in the description. I only have capacity for a few coaches and info product sellers every single month. And no, that's not some fake scarcity BS. It's the reality because I really do go in depth with you and I only have capacity to work one-on-one with a few people every single month. Now, this isn't for you if you don't have a proven offer yet, because really all this does is just put more of the right people in front of a proven offer. And if your offer isn't converting yet, it doesn't matter how many of the right people see it. A shitty offer is a shitty offer and it's not gonna convert either way. Now, if you're not there yet, no worries. Just go ahead and run this process yourself and see how easy it is to start getting proven titles and thumbnails that you can use for your own channel. Let me know how it goes, but that's all for me today. If you like this video, make sure to like it. And if you want more YouTube strategy content, then make sure to subscribe.